What's up? We are fresh off the Royal Rumble. You are fresh off the Royal Rumble. Are you freshly mad? Are you freshly happy? Sound off. Get your comments on screen. This is the WrestleZone post show for the Royal Rumble. The kickoff to WrestleMania returning in front of fans. Was it WrestleMania-rific for you? Get your comments on screen. Also, we're going to find out who wins Daniel Bryan, the man who didn't win the Royal Rumble that people wanted to win the Royal Rumble, right? Or this man who got to leave the Royal Rumble with the WWE Championship, Roman Reigns. All right, we're going to find out who wins these tonight, all right, and our contest that we've been teasing for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And if you're watching live, go ahead and get your comments on screen. Let us know what you guys think of the Royal Rumble, your thoughts on it. Vernon is furious that KO should be the champion. Kevin Owens was not successful in that regard, did not win that championship there. But let me talk to the guys who are with me live. I'm Kev Callum. You see me all the time yelling at your screen. The other gentleman there with me in the left-hand corner, he Royal Yumbled with me today. You can check out the Royal Yumble. We have that up. The third and final Royal Rumble is up. Yumble, our fast food Royal Yumble is up, and you can see that on our YouTube and our Facebook. John Clark, your initial thoughts coming off Royal Rumble?
It was a pretty good show. I think it lived up to expectations, but as we will get into, I think there are some things that could have been better and probably some things that, fans expected that didn't happen.
A lot of people signing off here. Pratik Savastava. I'm always worried I'm messing up your last name, Pratik. I always am. I'm always worried about it.
You did all right with the name. It was a count-on finish for the name. You did all right with it. But
his new comedy album is out now on Spotify and Apple, iTunes, wherever you stream your music. You can stream his stand-up comedy album, which is absolutely fantastic. Nick and Sheila's Kid. Give him a follow. We've had him on the show before the album came out. I had a lot of people who checked out the album and told me it was great, by the way, Pratik. So I heard good things.
Thank you. Yeah.
But let's see what people are thinking of Royal Rumble. Let me know what you guys are thinking here. They were upset there was no Bray Wyatt. They were upset it was just another Royal Rumble. Was it just another Royal Rumble? I'm of the thought that it was not just another Royal Rumble. Some different decisions were made. Some surprising decisions were made. Let us know what you guys think here. We will run down the results of everything on the card here. But it looks like we might have Edge we will have Edge in a major title match at this year's WrestleMania, the first WWE live event in front of live fans in over a year. At Raymond James Stadium over 2 nights. Edge will be featured in one of the title matches on one of those shows. He wins the men's Royal Rumble, which just ended a few minutes ago. This is full circle for him on this return. He returned at last year's Royal Rumble, and what was the biggest surprise and the most good feeling of that year, which would end up being a bad year for a lot of other reasons that have nothing to do with wrestling. And had the match with Randy Orton, which was one of the best kind of non-fan matches. It was months before they even had the Thunderdome. In front of no fans, they started dubbing in a crowd noise, and they put on a classic. Him and Randy Orton put on a classic and had a great feud. But Edge wins the Royal Rumble. John Clark, your take. Did they go with the right guy? Because I was in the camp that Daniel Bryan was the favorite, or maybe Big E. They did some surprising things. The heels got their heat in this match, and you thought Randy Orton was eliminated early in the night. He wasn't eliminated. Edge injured his knee, and then he's getting checked out. We don't see him for 30 minutes. He comes in, he hits the RKO. Oh, no! And Spinaroonie, and Edge tosses him over the top rope. Edge is going to WrestleMania. John, did they make the right call going with Edge?
I think there were a few different directions they realistically could have gone. But here, there was one moment that was kind of a red flag for me that I don't want to say that it spoiled the match, but it kind of got me thinking. And here's what it was. Last night on WWE Backstage, they revealed the first 2 entrants into the Rumble. They specifically said that Randy Orton was number 1 and Edge was number 2. Tonight, Edge came out as number 1, and I instantly thought, well, they might want some history here with him being number 1 in the ring. So him being number 1 and then winning, that was kind of something that would get you thinking. But there was, to me, multiple directions they could have gone. So I don't want to say that they got it wrong, but what you want to think about is, did they do the best decision they could have done? Now, I think it all depends on what direction Edge takes this going into WrestleMania. I do firmly believe he will go to SmackDown and challenge Roman, which in that case, it's okay, because I was hoping the winner of this Rumble match would go on to challenge Roman Reigns, whether that be Daniel Bryan or Edge. I think that will be the case.
Mm-hmm. Pratik, your take, was it the right call to go with the feel-good story? Edge came back. I mean, he had the neck injury. We were never supposed to see him. He had the matches last year, had another tricep injury, and cut a hellacious promo on Raw this week. And, there were favorites in the Royal Rumble, but once Edge comes back, he's got to be a favorite.
I think, yeah, I think if they move towards Roman and Edge, or if Orton gets in the mix, I mean, I'm kind of, part of me thinks they're gonna go with like a triple threat between Orton, Edge, and Roman. That might be interesting too. But I think a lot of fans wanted to see Daniel Bryan get that like heartfelt, like that's the one thing that has eluded him. He never got the Rumble win, so I think a lot of fans were definitely disappointed in that. Of course, you mentioned heel heat. Seth Rollins getting the heel heat of eliminating Daniel Bryan. That was a thing. Almost like just literally grabbing people and throwing them out of the ring. That was
what a heel too.
Yeah.
I mean, just grabbing people from outside the ring. And I know people were very angry about that because he eliminated a couple of fan favorites. He eliminated
Dominic Mysterio and his
he eliminated
that
Rey
was
Mysterio.
Lashley, sorry.
Yeah, he eliminated Rey Mysterio as well.
Yeah.
And that was in the thick of the match. He was doing that in like the 20s. They were well into, and you had guys that were in there for a long time. And they did some really heelish things. They eliminated Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was down there until the final mix between him and Riddle, exchanging and beating the snot out of each other. And I think when Daniel Bryan got to that final stage, people thought it's his match to win.
Yeah.
And Edge doesn't need this. He's gone this far. Maybe they'll do some type of angle to follow up and get him out of there with Randy Orton. But they actually used that to get all the way to the end of the match. I'm going to say it was a creatively booked Rumble. They did not rely on a huge returning superstar. There was no Brock Lesnar. There was no John Cena. And also, those teases of big returns were done this week. They had Edge just show up on Monday Night Raw with no advertising. They had Braun Strowman show up on SmackDown with no advertising. They kind of did those huge, wow, surprises on TV. And then they did a couple tonight as well for the men. We'll talk about the ones for the women because I actually think maybe the women had a better Royal Rumble match than the men tonight. We'll get into that in a little bit, but we're still working here through the men's. Love the surprise of Carlito Caribbean Cool. We kind of knew this one Sunday afternoon, right, John? Shortly after you and I got off on the Yumble, he looked like a fantastic version of himself. He looked like he put on 30, 40 pounds of weight, looked absolutely great. But Christian had several concussions many years ago, has worked for WWE in a non-wrestling role, did the Edge and Christian show. Him and Edge got to kind of have a reunion in this match and work together. He looked great. He looked really good. Didn't have any doubt in him. I know he did the physical thing on Raw a few months ago in the summer, but this is Edge. This is Edge's buddy. This is Christian. This is a very beloved character from a certain time back in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was an interesting concept. I don't think that it will be more of a permanent thing, especially, I don't even think it's going to be a part-time thing. I think this was a one-time thing, like they do, they had Hurricane Helms in there last year, they've had Kevin Nash in there before. They do those one-offs, and I fully expect that this is what that was.
Pratik, are we getting more Christian on WWE?
I feel like part of me thinks like they're going to do some sort of like, either maybe in one of the pay-per-views leading up to Mania, they might do Edge Christian reunion tag against Orton and somebody. I could see something like that happening. Again, like sporadic appearances for Christian, appearances that maybe help Edge. Part of me felt like when Christian showed up, I'm like, oh, I think Edge is going to win. Like when Christian showed up, part of me had that thought of like, okay, they're digging into Edge's past, like maybe he's going to get the win. So
they're playing on the nostalgia. They're going for something there as well. Stephen Chambers, big fan of the show. Thank you so much, Stephen, saying WWE is teasing the UK that the ex-Liverpool and Chelsea football player will be making a WWE debut at the Royal Rumble. That would have been a surprise. No surprise debuts. We did see some call-ups. We did have Damian Priest make his debut on the main roster, if you will. He was not alone. Rhea Ripley had a very significant portion of the women's. We'll talk about that in the next segment here. What other surprises did you see in the men's Rumble that delivered, and what didn't deliver? We've said some nice things. I was disappointed Daniel Bryan didn't win. John, what were you thumbing down during the men's Royal Rumble? It's a match with a lot of expectations that have to be met. What expectations were not met with you in the men's Rumble match?
I was a little disappointed on how they handled the whole Bad Bunny and the Miz John Morrison thing. I think that was a total waste of the Miz and John Morrison's time. There was a couple other things like Lashley coming in and just immediately eliminating like 3 serious contenders from the match.
Excuse me, his name is Mr. Bunny. He was referred to as Mr. Bunny. course, popular rapper got to do a musical thing. Miz wanted to hang out with him, and Bad Bunny blew them off. So Miz wrecked his DJ gear that was out there, even though there was pyro going off around it.
Why would you leave your DJ gear out there? That's the real
why
question.
would you just leave your stuff out there, dude? Come on.
But Lashley eliminating like a couple serious players was kind of a turnoff. But there was some good parts. Damian Priest had a very good showing. I was impressed. I know how much I like to talk trash on Ricochet on this show too, but he also had a pretty decent showing compared to what he's been doing in recent months on the show. That was also nice to see. And then it was also nice to see some of the legends, may you say, get mixed up in there, not just last for 1 second, with the exception of Hurricane Helms. We can forget about him. Everybody else that was in there, though,
Hurricane was in there for a hot second, right? He was in and out very quickly.
It had meaning behind it, though, and I think they picked one more thing that did not do the trick for me. Cesaro was treated like a total joke in this. He lasted.
I don't think so. I mean, he got to beat up a handful of people.
He got the moment of lifting up Braun Strowman. I thought that was kind of cool.
He got to do the swing and knock into a handful of people. Him and Bryan got to have an exchange that I thought was pretty cool.
It was a stiff exchange.
I don't think he got to made look. Miz looked goofy. Miz is your Money in the Bank, and he looked goofy.
Yeah, I was
expecting cash in. That didn't happen either.
What were you expecting?
Oh, sorry. I was expecting a cash in at some point.
We did not get a Money in the Bank cash in tonight here.
Yeah, and I was also expecting to see maybe a couple other surprises. We've been talking for a couple of weeks now that we thought maybe the Fiend would show up. He did not. When we get into the Women's Rumble, I will give you my biggest disappointment in that. But I really wanted to see the Fiend, and we didn't. So I guess it is what it is. But Strowman at 30 just didn't really do the trick for me, and you can tell that was something they were probably going to announce on backstage, and then they changed.
I'm sorry. Let's just give him a hand. Let's give him a hand. We got over 100. We got over 100 people watching the show right now. So that's just freaking cool. Thank you guys so much. If you're watching for the first time, this is pretty sweet. Isn't this fun? Turn your notifications on YouTube and Facebook. Follow us on both. All right. And subscribe. If you can't watch the whole show, subscribe. We're available on Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. So if you want to listen to the rest tomorrow morning, you wrestled out, don't worry. We got more. And we're going to find out who wins these Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns action figures before the end of the show tonight. Also, we want to know the main question. You fire off the whole show. You're still with us. John Fiore telling us women's way better than the men's Royal Rumble. Which Royal Rumble match did you like more tonight? I want to know which Royal Rumble match you liked more. The men's or the women's. And also rate the show overall. One being the worst Royal Rumble ever. All right. I don't think this is the worst Royal Rumble ever. 10 being maybe the best Royal Rumble ever. I don't know if we're exactly there. Or 10 being the best Rumble that got you ready for a WrestleMania. They've set up a lot of things here for WrestleMania coming out of the show. A lot of things that are set here for WrestleMania in terms of the way things are going to look here. And we do have two major pay-per-views before we get to WrestleMania. Remind you, we will have Elimination Chamber next month. That'll be the last WWE Network special, at least for the United States audience, that is just on the network before in the United States the network moves over to Peacock. First show will be March 21st. Fastlane, the move WWE Network to the NBC streaming service will be on March 18th. Heads up on that. So Pratik, let's talk about the rest of the show. Edge, feel good moment, right? He's your guy for WrestleMania. Just off the top of your head, where should he go? Does he get to choose the title? Does he go after the champion of Raw? Do you want Drew McIntyre versus Edge? That's babyface. Do you want Edge versus Roman?
I think as much as fans have said, John has said, I think we all want to see Edge versus Roman, Spear versus Spear. I think that's going to be a good moment. Good guy to kind of take the title off of Roman. Edge gets his return championship because, again, as we remember, when he retired, he had to relinquish the championship that he never lost. So I think that's a good direction. Good way to take the title off Roman potentially. That's my pick. Another thing I've noticed was Jeff Hardy showed up in the Rumble, but then he was gone pretty quickly too. I was kind of hoping for some sort of team up from Hardy and Edge, relive that WrestleMania nostalgia a little bit. I was expecting a little bit more of that from some of the legends.
Like I said, I'm disappointed Daniel Bryan didn't win, right? Because I thought maybe they were building up to that here. But I'm looking at this. We're all over the map here in terms of what people think here. Gerard Mitchell giving you a 2 out of 10. Gerard, I think that's a little low for what this show is here in terms of general consensus.
Well, we know where Keith Lee was. Yeah. He was on COVID protocol because of Mia Yim.
Yeah, so that was his other comment there. John Fiore giving it a 7 out of 10 here. I'm seeing someone give it a 6. All right. Rick is texting in saying women's was better. Better Rumble. I give it a 6 out of 10. People asking where was Ronda Rousey? Well, they never teased Ronda Rousey. I know what the surprise is. People just get mad if the surprise they want doesn't surprise them. But that's another like fantasy booking thing. That's like, I want to fantasy book anyone into a Rumble, make them appear under these circumstances. I think that gets harder to do. And some people only want to return in front of fans, guys. I heard a lot of people angry that they didn't get The Rock tonight. They didn't get CM Punk tonight.
That's happening.
Yeah, there were some other big surprises here. Let's talk about the Women's Rumble. We will talk about the other matches on the show, but the Rumble matches are the main draw here. I thought the women had a significantly better Royal Rumble than the men. I'm not saying the men had a bad one, because I think Edge is still a fun moment. I do think I'll rewatch this tomorrow and probably feel better about it. But the women had a great one. I thought this was really, really well done. It covered all of the little boxes that people invisibly put on a Royal Rumble match. Big returns, elevation of a star, creation of multiple storylines,